Welcome back to Candidate Forum 2012. I'm Mike McKee. I'm the Executive Director of Media and Public Information here at Florida Gateway College and a member of the Chamber Government Relations Committee. Tonight's forum is brought to you by Drawdy Insurance Services, Tommy Demas Attorney at Law, Haven Hospice, and Potash Corporation of White Springs. We thank them for their support of this most worthwhile program during election time. The rules for the fourth segment of the night are that each candidate is given a 2-minute open and a 2-minute closing statement. Each candidate is then allowed to answer questions, 2 minutes for each response. There is no incumbent in this race because Glenn Hunter resigned his seat to run for superintendent of schools. Let's get started by meeting the candidates for School Board District 5. We have all challengers, Stephanie Fennell, Gordon Summers, and Bill Godey. We drew numbers prior to coming on into the studio this evening, and candidate Fennell drew the number 1. Ms. Fennell, you have 2 minutes to make an opening statement to the voters of Columbia County.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Fennell, and I'm very excited to be representing and running for Columbia County School Board District 5. My husband Jimmy and I have been married for 15 years, and we have one son, Garrett, who is 14 and attends Lake City Middle School. I'm the daughter of Cheryl Sistrunk and Lula Mae Peeler Sistrunk. I have many ties in Columbia County and many family members and even friends that teach at Columbia County. I am currently an advanced registered nurse practitioner at Southern Internal Medicine, where I have a loyal following. I have an advanced registered nurse practitioner degree from the University of Florida, a bachelor's degree from Valdosta State University, and a master's degree from University of Phoenix. I have had the privilege of teaching at Lake City Community College, now Florida Gateway College, and I was an advisor and an instructor in the registered nursing program where I assisted in accreditation and writing policies as well. I'm lucky enough to be able to mentor students and continue teaching, and I mentor students who from the surrounding counties who desire to become nurse practitioners themselves. But you need to know that this is a critical time for our school district because we are going to be electing 2 new board members and a new superintendent. So you need to take advantage of this time, and you need to take this and help take this time into our district, into a positive area. And that we can do that by voting for Stephanie Fennell. And I can do that for you because I am your voice, your leader, your advocate. I am a mom with a vested interest. The decisions I make for your children are the same decisions I'll be making for my child. And also, I have said many times the things that I'm doing for you and on the school board that I'm going to do lots of things. I have many goals set for the school board. But most importantly, I can make a positive change, and those positive changes are for our children and our school board. So remember, I have a stake in this, and I will not let you down.
Thank you very much, Candidate Fennell. Time now for an opening statement from Candidate Gordon Summers. Mr. Summers, you have 2 minutes to talk to the voters of Columbia County.
Thank you. I'm Gordon Summers, candidate for School Board District 5. I am the Columbia County Division Chief for the Office of Public Defender, and on a daily basis, I come into contact with our former students that cannot succeed in life because they have not learned to read adequately and write adequately. Reading is a very important issue to me, and I believe that everyone should get out of the 5th grade after being tested, remediated, and measured so that they can read when they hit the 6th grade. I'm better qualified than my opponents to serve on the school board because of my past experience serving on high-profile boards in the community. I have been past president of the Columbia County Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club of Lake City, the United Way of Columbia County, and served as the vice chairman for the IDA, Industrial Development Authority, for a number of years. I have dealt on those boards with a variety of personalities, and I have learned how to deal with the board through persuasion and collaboration. And I believe that my skills being on a board will enable me to get things done in a cohesive manner. I also have extensive experience working with budgets. I've worked with large and small budgets in both retail and nonprofit organizations, and I am very adept at reading those types of budgets and working with them. I ask for your support in this election for School Board District 5.
Thank you very much, Candidate Summers. Time now for Candidate Godey to make a 2-minute opening statement. Mr. Godey, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening. I am Bill Godey, and I am your candidate for Columbia County School Board District 5. You know, my family and I have lived in this community for nearly 30 years. My children graduated from the Columbia County school system, and now as a grandparent, I have a vested interest in their education and the education of your children and your grandchildren. As your former sheriff, I have a proven record of service and dedication to this community. I have over 35 years of public service on the state and local level. I know from my many years of experience with youth organizations the importance of an education. You know, much has been said about education, the FCAT, the funding, the teachers, salaries, the lack of discipline, drugs in the schools, school safety, parent involvement, and other issues. I want to utilize my knowledge as an administrator, as a law enforcement professional, and a citizen to work with others to make the best decisions that are being made regarding our school and our tax dollars. Each year, during budget workshops and board meetings, critical decisions are being made that affect our children and our teachers and the school personnel and school properties and our community and our taxpayers. I believe in finding solutions, and I'm committed to making a difference. You know, I officially retired from the state 2 years ago, but I have not retired from service to this community. I'm actively involved in my church, in youth organizations, civic organizations, local charities, and events. In addition, I have been a substitute teacher in the classroom in the school system for the last 2 years. I have seen firsthand the challenges our teachers face in the classroom. I believe our teachers are dedicated and committed to providing the best education possible for our children, just as I am committed to giving you my best as your school board member in District 5. I appreciate it and ask for your vote on August 14th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, candidates. It's time now for the all-important question and answer segment of our broadcast. And to ask the questions this evening is editor of the Lake City Reporter, Mr. Robert Bridges. Robert?
Thanks, Mike.
All yours.
Thank you, Mike. We'll start with candidate Fennell. Ms. Fennell, charter schools have come to our county with more to come. What is your view of this? Is it a good thing? And regardless of your view, how should the school board respond to this phenomenon?
Charter schools is a fairly new concept to Columbia County, and I think there's two different ways we can actually look at this. The charter schools, even though we can lose FTEs for the students that go into charter schools, what we have to look at, there is one charter school that I know that's in the process of beginning. That charter school will and can bring and will bring in students that are not normally in our Columbia County School District, that can bring money into our school district that we do not normally get in. So that will bring in some FTE, which is money, for our school district. It may not be a full, complete amount of money that we would like. So we can look at this in two different ways. That will bring money that we don't normally see, even though it's not the full amount that we'd like to see. So I think there's a positive and negative to this. So it is a new concept. I think we are going to have to look at this a little deeper on the school board and research it a lot deeper. But I think there are some positive and negatives to this concept because it is very new to us. Thank you.
Candidate Summers. Charter schools are here with more to come. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, they're certainly authorized by state law, and I think that as long as they jump through the proper hoops, file all the proper papers, and have credentialed employees, that we welcome them as an additional source of education for our students in the community. It does reduce some of the state dollars that we receive if they leave our system and go into the charter school, but by the same token, we have access to those students and should monitor them, make sure that they are adhering to standards, and make sure all of the individuals teaching in those schools are teaching the right things according to state law. So I think overall they should be a welcome addition, one other source of diversity in our community.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Mr. Godey, charter schools are here, and it's true, they are authorized by law. What is an appropriate response on the part of the school district to the rise of charter schools?
I think that we live in a country where you have a freedom of choice and a freedom of education. It is true what the other two candidates have said. We do lose tax dollars that go to the charter school children. I would like to see, as a school board member, to look into why our students are leaving. There has to be a reason. I know that there are faith-based reasons that our children leave the school. There are public schools. There are reasons for drugs in the school. There's safety issues. There's bullying issues. I would like to get down to the grassroots of why these children are leaving and going into the charter school program. I think that it's incumbent upon us as a school board and as a district school and the superintendents to look into these issues and find out the reason why.
Thank you, Mr. Godey. We'll stick with you for the next question. It's always the case that some schools do better than others in any given district. We have schools here that are superb. We have schools that are struggling very, very badly. What are you going to do to help those schools, the schools that are struggling terribly?
I think that what we have to do is look at the schools, to look at the leadership within that school. We have to look at the principals, what he's doing in that school or she's doing in that school to improve the school. What are the problems? What are the issues facing that school? Is it monetary consideration? Is it employees within that school? The teachers not doing an adequate job? Is it the students? How can we better serve that school? The principal has an awesome responsibility, and so does the superintendent, as well as the board. And the board there is to support the superintendent and the choices that he makes in the school. I think it's incumbent upon the school board to look at those reasons for those failing schools and look at the leadership within that school. And do we need to make some changes? Do we need to make some reassignments in order to improve that school and bring it up to where it should be?
Thank you, Mr. Godey. Mr. Summers, same question. What would you do if elected to help some of our schools that are struggling so badly?
Well, I think the first point is that if a school is doing badly, it's generally due to leadership. And it may be the leadership of the principal, not being an effective manager, not being able to get the most out of his employees, the teachers, to make it a positive learning environment. And also it can be considered a failure of leadership by the superintendent. Either the superintendent put the wrong person in there or the superintendent didn't remove that person in a timely manner. So there's resource allocation that goes along with that, and as a board member I would work closely with the other board members and the superintendent and make sure that our leadership pool is stocked with very capable, highly capable people that are ready to step into assistant principalships or principalships at any of these schools that have problems. I would also suggest that perhaps when a school is in serious shape, that the superintendent may want to consider putting multiple assistant principals in there to help a principal bring it up to code, as it were. So there's a lot we can do, and it's leadership from the top that will make the biggest difference.
Yes, thank you, sir. Ms. Fennell, same question. If elected, what would you do to help some of our schools that are struggling?
Well, when I'm elected, I do believe there are things that we need to do as a school board, but what that is we and myself, as a school board member, needs to visit our schools more frequently so we can find out firsthand what those schools need. And that shows our teachers, our staff, our students what they need and what we can do to help these schools succeed. And I believe that's the only way we're going to find out. We can sit on the school board all day long and all night long, and we can warm a seat, but we're not going to find out what these schools need until we start visiting these schools and find out firsthand and talk to our principals and talk to our teachers and find out what they need. And that's exactly what I plan on doing. Thank you.
Let me go on a slightly different track here, Ms. Fennell. Mr. Godey pointed out that it's the job of the school board member to support the superintendent. And as a practical matter, in Florida, school board members have a fairly limited scope of authority. What can you actually accomplish as a single member of a school board as a matter of policy? How much change can you really accomplish?
I believe that I am a very approachable person, and as a school board member, I know that we write policies, but I feel like that parents, teachers, students, principals feel comfortable enough to approach me with the problems and the issues that are going on in the schools, whereas they may not have felt that they could do that in the past, or may not feel that they can do that with the opponents that we have. And I can bring that to the board, and we can work on these problems amongst the school and on the school board. I feel like that we need to increase the communication. I feel like that we need to increase the morale problem that we have amongst our teachers and staff and show them that we support them, and therefore we can increase and improve the outcome for our students and our children and their education. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Summers, same question. I don't mean to sound pessimistic here, but there are limits to what a school board member can do. And as a practical matter, how much change do you actually hope to accomplish?
Well, I think it's very important to recognize that the board acting together in a collaborative manner can be very persuasive to influence the superintendent. The superintendent, of course, is virtually autonomous from the board, but as things are brought to the board, we can bring them to the attention of the superintendent, and if they are not responded to in an appropriate manner, in a timely manner, then the board has the obligation to bring that to the attention of the superintendent and to the community. So we have resources. Much of it may be jawboning, as it were, but through careful selection and approval of policies, I believe we can work closely with a superintendent and have a very good board and superintendent working relationship. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Godey, same question. If a superintendent who's in power when you are, or in office when you are, happens not to share your vision of what our schools need, is there a stalemate? How do you approach this problem, or this potential problem?
Well, I think when you take a look at the school board and what their duties and responsibilities are, is to control the operation, the organization, the administration, and management of the school district. And I think when you have that problem within a school, and the superintendent recognizes that problem, I think it's incumbent upon the school board to bring that, and it's coming to the attention of the superintendent, and working with the superintendent to try to rectify that situation in the school. You know, it's not about me, it's not about the superintendent, it's about our children. It's what's best for our children. And if reassigning a principal or a teacher, if that's what it takes, if it takes dismissing a teacher, removing them from the school, if that's what it takes to improve that school and make those children learn, that's what we're there for. And it's imperative upon the school board to have input, direct input, to share our feelings. We represent a district, District 5, and I want to hear from the constituents what is a problem in that particular school. And it's not just District 5, it's the whole district as all, it's the whole county. It affects everybody. So it's incumbent upon us as a school board to have our input and have a superintendent that will listen and take our advice on those different situations.
Thank you very much, all of you, for your responses. Mr. Godey, what are your views on the new merit pay law that ties teacher salaries, or will tie teacher salaries, at least to some degree, 50%, based on the FCAT scores of their students?
Well, I'm really not in favor of that. The FCAT is a whole ball of wax there at the beginning, but I know that in June of this year at the School Board Association meeting down in Tampa, there was a resolution passed concerning the FCAT and the problems that the FCAT has had. And when you tie those scores, those children's scores, to a teacher's salary and merit pay raise, I think is really unfair to the teachers. I think we need to have, I know we have to have some type of accountability for our teachers, and I'm not in favor of the FCAT tying it to the teachers and the merit raise salaries. I think we need to look at that, and I know it may be mandated by the state, but we really need to look at that and see how we can better look at something else other than just that merit raise.
Thanks. Mr. Summers, same question. What do you think of the new merit pay law?
Well, I'm in favor of merit pay for teachers. However, I believe tying it simply to the FCAT scores is unfair to the teachers and unfair to the students, because It will cause teaching to the test even more than already exists. Also, you have to figure, how are you going to measure the success of an ESE teacher? An ESE teacher may teach a limited number of students for all year long and show very marginal increase in proficiency by those students, and yet that increase in proficiency might be miles and miles of gain for those students. So how is it measured? I believe things coming top down from the state are the wrong way to do it for our community. Our community needs to set its own standards, set guidelines, and come up with a fair and equitable way to distribute merit pay.
Thank you. Ms. Fennell, same question. What are your thoughts on merit pay as structured through SB 736?
Okay. Well, as most of you know me by now, I oppose the FCAT, and I definitely do not agree that the teachers their pay raises should be in parallel with the merit raise. So you can't give these teachers a raise according to what a child's going to do on a test for one day. It's not fair to the child. It's not fair to the teacher. These teachers work hard all year long, and you're giving them a raise and an evaluation according to what a child's doing on a one-day test, basically. It's not fair. It needs to be reevaluated, and I stand very strong with this, and I will fight for this on the local level and the state level for this if I have to. And I think all the teachers that I know me well enough that I will do this, and as a team member on the school board, I will fight for this if I have to.
And that concludes the question and answer portion of our forum. It's time now for each candidate to make a 2-minute closing statement. And since candidate Fennell made the first opening statement, she will go last. Candidate Godey, you now have 2 minutes to close to the voters of Columbia County.
Thank you. You know, during my campaign the last 2 months, I've knocked on hundreds of doors in District 5. And one of the most often asked questions I got was, why are you running? Well, when I retired 2 years ago, I started substitute teaching in grades K through 12, and I also taught in the police academy. You know, I found that I truly love teaching in the elementary schools, and I love those kindergartners. When it came time to elect a new school member for District 5, I thought about how I could better serve the people in our district in that position. And I believe my experience and knowledge will bring a different perspective to the school board. I know the commitment required in serving and working with others on important issues, and I will bring that same level of commitment as your elected school board member. I want to have input on the policies that affect our children. I want to have input on the future of our schools. I want to know how we are spending our taxpayer dollars. I will listen to your concerns and represent you when making your decisions that affect our school system. Our children are our future. I ask you, who will you choose to represent you? Let's point out the differences. Will you choose a lawyer working full-time in the public defender's office with no classroom experience? Or will you choose a mother who, in her own words, is a full-time, very busy healthcare provider with no classroom experience in K through 12, no experience on serving on boards, with no budgets? Will they be able to take your phone calls at 9 a.m. in the morning or 9 p.m. in the evening, or really at any time? Or will you choose a person who has given nearly 30 years to this community, a person committed full-time in devoting his time and his energy, making meetings, making phone calls, listening to your conversations, visiting schools, attending workshops, a person who will listen to you and represent you? I am that person. I'm asking for your vote and your support during the early voting period and on August the 14th. Thank you, and God bless Columbia County.
Thank you very much, Candidate Godey. Now time for Candidate Summers to make a 2-minute close to the voters of Columbia County. Mr. Summers, you have 2 minutes.
I am a fourth-generation resident of Columbia County. I've been married for 36 years to my wife, Dr. Susan Summers, who's an assistant principal at Fort White. We have 3 children that have all graduated from Columbia High School. I'm a lifelong member of the First United Methodist Church. And unlike my opponents, my entire family, including my mother and father and 4 siblings, all attended Columbia County schools and graduated from Columbia High School. And although my children have graduated, the success of the entire student body, the employees, and the taxpayers is very important to me. After high school, I got an Associate of Arts degree right out here at Lake City Community College, and then I realized that maybe education wasn't that important. So I ended up in the United States Navy and floated around the world for a couple of years on a destroyer. I found out that education is very important. After the Navy, I got a bachelor's degree at the University of West Florida and then went into the retail business. 20 years later, I went to the University of Florida College of Law and got a law degree. My goal as a school board member is always to affirm that education is not a line item in the budget, it is the only item. I will always work collaboratively to try to persuade the members of the board and the superintendent to go in a common direction with common goals. I will be the taxpayer's education watchdog and ensure that every tax dollar is well spent. And if I haven't spoken to you personally yet, I'm on the way. Don't worry that I have a full-time job. That's what they make voicemail and email and Facebook for. Vote for and elect Gordon Summers, the most qualified candidate, School Board District 5. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Time now for a closing statement from Stephanie Fennell. Ms. Fennell, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Well, unlike my opponent, as I've knocked on doors the last few months, they don't bother to ask me why I'm running for school board. They know why I'm running for the school board, because I'm a mom and I have a stake in this. And I have a stake in this not only for my family and my child, but for your children. And if you want somebody to have a vested interest for your child, there is not one candidate that's better for this position than me, and not one will have a better or more sincere heart than I will. And my opponent has misspoken. I never said I work full-time. I work Monday through Thursday, approximately 32 hours, and that has allowed me to do just this: run for you, run for your children, and work very hard. I am an educator, and I continue to educate. I work very hard, and I'm excited to work very hard for our children and for their education. I cannot wait to be on the school board. I have a vested interest. I am a mom with a vested interest. Vote for Stephanie Fennell, not a politician. Thank you.
And that concludes the 4th segment of our 5-segment candidate forum program for this evening. When we come back on Florida Gateway College Television, we'll meet the candidates for Columbia County School Superintendent. You're watching Candidate Forum 2012 on Florida Gateway College Television and WCJX Radio. Don't go away. We'll be right back.